Yo, in this tutorial, I'll be breaking down 3 of my favorite music video effects right now. As someone who's edited major music videos for someone like Kodak Black and Emily Choppa, I like to believe that I have some knowledge on these effects. But before we get into these effects, I just want to let you guys know, I spent the last couple months building an AI that edits your music videos. This is my new VFX AI. It's not presets you drag and pray that they look good. It actually analyzes your video and your song and applies the effects where they should go. Everything from transitions to energy hits and shakes on beat and so much more. So just with one prompt, it will automatically add all of these effects into your timeline, and I'll show you exactly how it works. Once you see how easy it is, it will instantly change your editing. So I'm in After Effects and I got a clip right here from the Pusha First Day Out music video. And the first effect that I'll be creating will be this kind of trippy optics look. The first thing we got to do is duplicate this layer, and then we'll size this up to like, let's do 200%. And then for the duplication, we'll also turn down the opacity to, let's do something like 30. And then we can also add on a warp effect to the duplication, and I'll set the warp style to fisheye and turn it up a bit to like 68, and then you can move it to wherever you want it. So I kind of want my subject, I don't really want the sky and the buildings, so I'll keep my subject right there. And then I'll create an adjustment layer, and to this adjustment layer we can add something like a chromatic aberration. And I'll be using the one from Universe, so it looks like this. And also with the one from Universe, you can also add on lens textures, like these ones right here. I added the bokeh one, then you can mess with how much you want. The bokeh one looks good, but the, which one was it? Frozen also looks pretty good. And the dirt, so you just gotta find which one you like. I like the dirt one, so I'll just size it down a bit, and I'll go with this. Then for the background clip, you can add something like a sapphire hotspot. But if you don't have sapphire, I guess you could go for something like a levels effect. They're pretty similar in themselves. For the levels effect, you just gotta mess with the whites and the shadows. You just drag them up or down and just start to mess with them. And then when you add the other effects on top, it will look a bit better. And you could also keyframe this, so going like 1 second, keyframe the histogram, and then at the start we can have a reset, so it goes like this and gets darker as the scene plays through. But I'll be using the hotspots effect. I'm a huge fan of this one. I'll keyframe the blur input and the threshold, and around like all the way throughout the scene, I'll have it animate so it'll get darker as the scene plays through. And then we can also add a bit of blur, not too much. Let's do like 8, so it'll play through like that. That's pretty cool. I feel like it looks good the way that it is right now, but I want to size down the duplication a bit, maybe center it a bit better than I did before. So something like this, but it's a tricky one since my subject is moving. But as you can see, we have a pretty clean effect right here. Only thing I want to do is tweak the duplication a bit. So I'll add on a hotspot onto that one as well, so it can animate with the background clip. So of course, keep the color at black, animate the threshold from 0, and at the end it will be animated a bit, like all the way up to 0.3. And maybe we can add a curve as well, just a basic S curve onto that one. But that's basically it. That's the first effect. I'm a huge fan of this one. We got some cool looks in here. I think I just want to tweak the texture a bit. I'll try bokeh and turn up the amount to 50. But this is the first effect. Let's hop right into the second one. The second effect that I'll be creating is this kind of grunge speed ramp effect. So we have the first performance scene right here, and then it will transition, and here we'll have the grunge speed ramp, and then it will go back to performance scene. So first thing we got to do is we want to add some flashes right here to this clip before the effect starts. So like right here at the last frame, I'll turn up the exposure to 4, and then I'll go back like 2 frames, turn it down to 0, go back like 2 frames again, turn it up to, let's do 1.5, and then all the way down to 0 again. So we have a flash effect here before it hits. And then to this scene right here, what we want to do is add on a time warp effect. This is pretty similar to Twixtor. If you have Twixtor, you could use that instead. But for the speed, I'll keyframe it at 100 here at the start, and I'll drag back the keyframe 1 frame, and then here at the first frame, we'll turn up the speed to, let's do like 1500. And then what you got to do is you got to have your clip dragged all the way back out by a lot, so the speed ramp can grab all of the scenes from right here. So now we got something to work with. So as you can see, it speeds up the full music video in like 1 second all the way there, and then we will have a shake there. But before we add a shake or something like that, we have to add some grunge looks in here, because I want to make this a grunge effect. So I'll go for a tint effect mixed with the add grain effect. And let's change the viewing mode of the add grain to final output, and I'll turn up the intensity to 1.5. And we can also add something like a sapphire vignette or a CC vignette, doesn't matter. And I'll turn this one up a bit and turn up the angle of view to like 53 since we're going for that grunge style. And then if you'd like to, you could also mix this with a bunch of different effects. A warp effect could look good if you change it to fisheye and you want to have like this warp fisheye look or something like this. I've seen people use this as well, but not as much. Let's turn it down to like 30. I mean negative 30. And we could also do something like a chromatic aberration, the one that we used last time from Universe, but not really for the distortion. So I'll turn down the distortion and the blur as well, but mainly because of the lens texture. So I'll use the bulky one. I'm a fan of that one. So we can have that look as well on this effect. If you want some blur, then you can turn up the blur. I think it will look good actually. So I'll turn up the radial blur that we have right here and let's play this effect through and see what it looks like. So this is what we got now. Pretty cool effect. I think that the chromatic aberration was a little bit overboard. So I'll hide that one for now. And yeah, the rest looks good. So right here, when it ends, I want to have a shake hit like right there. And the only right solution to adding shakes is the VFX kit, of course. Like I mentioned in the intro, we have the AI system right here that can add VFX to your full music video. Quick shameless plug. But we'll go down to the shakes tab where we have these live previews of every single effect. And with just one click of a button, we can add any of these shakes that we want to use. We have some pretty cool ones like these trippy ones up here. We have the wiggle clean, we have the distort wiggle, and the further down you scroll, the more basic the shakes will get. So as you can see down here, we have some smooth vertical ones, hard vertical ones. Then we also have some horizontal ones, and you know how it goes. I think I want to go for something like a hard vertical shake. This one should be pretty good. So I'll just simply apply it with one click and I'll just apply it to my layer. I don't need an adjustment layer for this. Then I'll just turn on motion blur and I'll turn down the quality to quarter. Just my PC can survive. So this is what we got right now. It's a pretty cool effect, but I think that the hard vertical shake was a bit too much for my clip. So I think I want to remove that one. I think it was a bit too hard. Pause. We can go for something like the optical shake. That one's pretty smooth, but also kind of trippy style. As you can see, yeah, that should be good. So now we got the flash here. Then we have the grunge look and then the shake to top it off. It's a great effect. I'm a huge fan of this one. This one is also not too hard to create. It's pretty simple if I'm being honest, but you just got to execute it right. Use it at the right moments and it will look good. Now we can jump right into the third and final one. So for the third effect, I have this clip right here. And what I want to do is I want to separate my subject from the background. So of course we're going to use the roller brush tool. This clip is pretty low contrast because he's black and it's a black background. But I think I should be able to rotoscope it out either way. So I just rotoscoped out my subject and I'll add on a refined soft matte effect just to make the edges a little bit smoother. It's not something that you need to add, but I feel like it saves my mask a bit. So I'll turn down the additional edge radius to 4 and for the feather I'll go for 6. This depends on your subject, but I think this looks good for most of the clip. Now what I'll do is I'll duplicate this layer and remove all of the effects to the background. And then I'll import my overlay, which is this smoke puff right here, as you can see. What I'll do is I'll place this between my subject and the background so it can come in right there. And then I'll speed it up to like 30 and then we'll have it come in just like that. And I want to make it a bit bigger. Pause. We'll place it right there. And then of course we got to change the mode to screen. So it just blends right in just like this. And then we could actually add one on the other side as well. But we'll have this come in maybe a bit later. But this scene is pretty short, so it's hard to do. But it should work this way. So that's what we got. And then if you mix it with some effects, I'll do it in just a second. So I just messed around with the positioning a little bit. Didn't do anything too crazy. But I'll slow it down a little bit as well to like 50. That should be good. And I'll do it for both of these overlays. And then if you add something like a sapphire hotspot on top of this as well, you can get some pretty cool looks, especially on top of the background. But now my background is already black. So I'll show you guys an example of a clip that isn't as dark. I'll put it up on the screen right now. And all you need to do to achieve this look is just add the hotspot effect. And then all the way in, you just turn up the threshold. And you can have this either on just your background or on everything, but you don't want to have it on just the overlays. So as you can see, when I add it on top of everything, we get a different look. It looks good, but for the start, you have to have it at 0 and then animate it through as the scene plays. Also adding something like a deep glow in here, and let's turn down the exposure, turn up the radius and also something like a sapphire flicker just to spice up this look. And we'll have the deep glow come in as the same place through. So I'll keyframe it like halfway through and turn it down to 0 at the start. So this is what we got right now, and there are a bunch of different smoke overlays you can use to create different looks. I have another one right here that looks super fire. So just to spice up this effect, I'll add this one as well to one of the sides, preferably the one at the left. I can remove this one. And now I have this other smoke overlay in place. It's a bit too fast, I'll just slow it down, but that's basically the effect. I've used this in a bunch of music videos. So that was the 3 effects that I had today. If you're looking to speed up your workflow and create some crazy VFX, feel free to check the first link in the description. I have my VFX kit linked right there. But that's basically it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.